How are you guys? It's Czar Danya from the Czar of Dating, and we take no prisoners in this dating game. Before we begin podcast episode number 3, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Czar of Dating. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and support. I give you guys the best game that is out there. Today we have a special podcast, but before we start, make sure you guys join my Discord channel. I have a VIP membership on there exclusively for like-minded individuals that never want to lose with women again. Did you know that a squirrel mates once a year at the exact same day every year? If you want to be better than a squirrel in life and get plenty of women, join the VIP membership. If you are still a virgin, if you're only getting laid once a year or you're barely getting laid and you need help with game with women, the VIP membership is the place for you. I want you guys to all start dating high quality women. Women would not settle for less. So why would you? Join the VIP membership. You have exclusive perks. You need me, guys. If you want to be good with women, if you want to get women, you need me. Point blank, that's the only way that you guys are going to become better with women. No one is as real as I am. No one has the experience I have with women combined with the psychology background. That is a deadly fucking combo. So you guys are doing yourself a disservice by not joining the VIP membership on my Discord. If you have any private questions, you can message me. I will go live with you for free. We will discuss any questions that you have. It is a tight-knit community of like-minded men, like-minded masculine men that want to better themselves. These men know the game. They're learning very quickly. We have some of the best people in that membership. There's only a limited amount of seats because I don't want the membership, the class, to be too diluted. I want to keep it at a certain number of members, the sweet spot, where everyone can still engage with one another. We can all learn. And I do seminars twice a month. Topics of my discussion, of my choice, and you guys get to express yourself freely at the end. We can go over questions. Any questions you have, we can discuss it as a group. So make sure you check out that VIP membership. Today's podcast, episode number 3. I've been wanting to do this one for a while, so here it is. Bible game. My podcast is called Put on the Full Armor of God, and there's a reason why I call it that. My mistake. My podcast is about today's podcast, episode number 3, Bible game. In order to put on the full armor of game, you need to know the Bible game. The Bible teaches you guys so much wisdom, so much knowledge about women, relationships, and how to level up in life as a man. So I picked some of the most important verses, in my opinion, from the Bible. We're going to go over them. We're going to go over them in detail. So the Bible teaches you a lot about women. If you don't read your Bible, shame on you. Put on the full armor of game. Read your Bible. If you want to know everything there is about women, relationships, it is all in this book. And it begins with Genesis, the story of Adam and Eve. Why is that story so important? Because that story teaches us that women test men. It is in a female's nature to test men. They've been programmed to test men. And this goes back to Genesis. God told us this. So after Eve was deceived, it's funny how Eve is in the word deceived. After Eve was deceived and manipulated by Satan to eat the apple when she knew not to eat from the tree of knowledge, she ate the fruit, she took a bite. First things first, women are very impressionable. It wasn't difficult for Satan to deceive Eve. It wasn't hard at all. He didn't have to go through any obstacles. All he did was rephrase a couple things. He questioned what God said to her, and he made her believe it. That's why you cannot allow your girl to have male friends, because women are very impressionable. No man wants his business discussed with other men. And those men that your girl has in her life, her male friends or her best guy friend, they're not in your best interest. They will talk shit about you because secretly majority of them want to sleep with your girl, so they'll do anything to plant seeds in her head like Satan did to Eve. They will do anything to sabotage that relationship that you two have together. And that's why it is very important. My girls do not have male friends. If they want a relationship with me, they know my boundaries. Okay, if you want a relationship with me, one of my boundaries is no male friends. And if they can't agree to that, then I already know they don't see me as someone worthy of giving up their best guy friends for. And I'm not getting into a relationship with them. It's a losing battle. We can still keep it friends with benefits. We could be cordial. She could come over late at night. We could have fun, but nothing serious. I am not putting up with a woman who has guy friends. So after Eve was deceived, she took a bite out of the apple. She goes up to Adam and she tells him to take a bite as well. She tested him. She tested his fortitude. She wanted to see how assertive he was, his leadership abilities, and Adam failed the test. He failed the test and he took a bite out of the apple. Now, women will test men because that is their way of bypassing all the other bullshit that comes with men, the lying. If they ask you a question, you can just lie about it. If they ask you certain questions, right, certain things that they're trying to gauge what kind of a man you are, you could easily lie about it. So in order to bypass that, they will test you in other ways. Compliance tests, confidence tests. There's many different tests that women do. And Adam failed this test miserably. He failed miserably. He showed her that he didn't have a backbone. He should have said no. We were ordered by our father not to eat from that tree. I'm not eating from that tree. I'm not taking a bite out of the apple. She would have found him so much more attractive if he said that. She didn't have a good role model in her life. She didn't have a strong male figure in her life that was a leader. If a woman has a strong leader in her life, the less chances of her leading to destruction. It's very important for a woman to have a strong father-like figure in her life. And Adam failed to do that. No disrespect to Adam. I know he's a prophet in many people's eyes. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but it wasn't his fault at the same time. No one taught him the game. He wasn't taught this stuff like I'm teaching you. I didn't know about this. I probably would have failed that test as well if Eve asked me, especially back in my beta days. I would have failed that test point blank because I always tried seeking the approval of other women, seeking their validation. I would have done anything to appease a woman, even if I knew it was wrong. Now I know better, and I'm teaching you guys to understand why women test men. It's in their nature. They want to see what kind of a man you are. It's what separates the betas from the alphas. Because if they don't test a man, they could have kids with the wrong person. The survival of their children depends on how strong of a man they are sleeping with. That's why they will test you. It's to separate the strong from the weak. So one of these tests, an example of what Eve did to Adam. Say if you're at a restaurant with the girl, you're out on a date with her, you've been sober for 10 plus years, no alcohol, no drugs, you're in sobriety. The date orders a drink. No problem, she can have a drink. She knows I'm in sobriety, I'm not having a drink. All of a sudden, she'll ask you to take a sip of the drink. Oh, it's no big deal, babe. It's just one sip. Nothing's going to happen. What do you guys do in that situation? She's testing you. Are you going to flush down 10 plus years of sobriety down the toilet just to appease this woman, to seek her approval? Or are you going to stand up and be a man and show her that you have some type of testicular fortitude and assertiveness to say no? If you ask me again, I'm ending this date right now. I just told you I'm in sobriety. Boom! Now her attraction has risen for you. She knows you are a man of your word. You are a man of character. You're a man that has a backbone. That's why they will test you like that, fellas. It's in their nature to test men. God teaches us this in the Bible. Without a strong masculine leader in a woman's life, whether that's her dad or a strong man in her life, she is headed for destruction. And another thing I'm going to add on this, after they were both caught, God punished Adam. He yelled at Adam. He had every right to. And Adam yelled right back at him. He said, I didn't ask for a woman. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for you to send me Eve down here. It's not my fault. He had a victim mindset. What betas do is betas do not take accountability for anything that happens in their life. They don't take responsibility for anything. They always play the blame game. And he quickly blamed Eve. He quickly blamed God, but he didn't take accountability for what he did. If you don't take responsibility or accountability for anything and everything that happens in your life as a man, you can never grow and learn from your mistakes. If you have a victim mindset, you will cease to grow. When you accept your mistakes, you can learn from them. You look in the mirror and you tell yourself, you know what? I did that. I'm responsible for that. Let me change my ways. Let me learn from this. The next Bible verse, I had to add this one in here. I can't believe I almost forgot this one. This one's very important. 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Bad company corrupts good character. The biblical challenges for us to consider the company that we keep and their influence on our character. So the Bible challenges us to consider all the company that we keep and their influence on our character. Human nature is to reflect the behavior of those we spend the most time with. If you're hanging out with a bunch of fucking losers and a bunch of dorks who are going nowhere in life, you're going to be a fucking loser and you're going to be a dork. If you're hanging out with a bunch of guys who suck at getting women and have a victim mindset, you're also going to suck at getting women and you will have a victim mindset. If you're hanging out with a bunch of people that are miserable, negative, pessimistic, you will too be miserable, pessimistic, and you will live a life that is not abundant and not positive. But if you hang around people that uplift you, that are honest with you, that tell you the brutal truth, things that you need to hear, things that you need to do. They tell you things that you need to do, things you need to change. They're brutally honest with you. They don't hold anything back. People that are leveling up in life, that are working out, bettering themselves, reaching for that success, trying to make more money, coming up with ways to be more successful. You will also be successful. I have no sympathy for a fat ass who doesn't want to work out and he's hanging out with a bunch of other fat asses who are out of shape, eating fucking honey buns all day, playing video games and not bettering themselves. I have no sympathy for those men. I will always respect the guy that is out at the gym, whether he's fat or skinny, and trying to improve himself and better himself. I will always respect that man more than the fat ass that lays on his couch and is lazy as shit. This is important because if you're hanging out with a bunch of guys that are drinking alcohol, getting drunk, getting wasted, doing drugs, that company is going to ruin your character. It's going to happen. You're not immune to it. I want you guys to cut out every single loser that is in your life right now. I don't care if your friends are funny or you guys play Minecraft together or you guys jerk each other off late at night. Who gives a fuck? Let them go. If you have to be alone for a little bit until you meet new and better friends, until you build a network, do that. But I'd rather you be your own company rather than bad company ruining your character. The next verse. James 1 verse 19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. This verse is very fucking important. Very important, especially as a masculine man. You never act out emotionally. When you say certain things out of anger without logically thinking about what you're going to say, you will regret it later on. Once the damage is done, it's difficult to take back everything that was already said. I'm going to tell you a story of me and my ex-girlfriend from 3 to 4 years ago. There was this one dude in our Physics 2 class I had with my girl. I can tell he wanted her from the way he kept looking at her. He tried flirting with her, talking to her. He was that beta male nice guy. Couldn't stand this dude because I could tell he was a snake in disguise. He knew we were together. One day I see him commenting on most of her new Instagram photos and her past photos. On every single picture he was commenting some slick and flirty shit. I got pissed and I blew up on her. I hit her up and I blew up on her and told her, if he ever talks to you again or if he's going to leave you comments again, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to take care of this. And there was so much pent up emotion, so much anger going back and forth. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't contain myself. I got pissed and I blew up on her. I was very emotional that night and took it out on her. I ended up messaging the dude and saying, if he ever talks to her again, we're going to have problems. That's exactly what I messaged him on Instagram. She came over that night. We talked it over. We had incredible makeup sex right after. Don't get me wrong. It was probably some of the best sex we've ever had. I've never heard a girl moan louder than her that night. But the damage was already done. The relationship was never the same after that, fellas. There's a certain way to handle things, and there's a certain way to not handle things. I let my emotions take over. Okay? I should have been quick to listen. I should have been slow to speak and slow to become angry. I should have been thinking rationally about the options and how I should handle this. I should have talked to her. I should have told her, hey, listen, if he's going to keep commenting on your pictures or you two are going to continue talking, I can't be in a relationship with you. And I should have set my boundary right then and there. But instead, I let my emotions get to the best of me because I love this girl. And I'm sure you guys have been through the same thing or you might go through the same thing. But once you let your emotions get the best of you, you are not thinking anymore. You never let your emotions get the best of you. Don't act out on your emotions, fellas. That is the worst thing you can do. This is when everything becomes irrational. Everything becomes irrational. As a masculine man, you always have to act and think rationally. What's my next move on the chessboard? What options do I have? How do I handle this? If you have to write things down, write them down. Writing things down help you get your emotions out. They calm you down. Write them down. What options do you have? Think them over. The last thing you want to do is text a girl back and forth with your pent up emotions because it builds and builds and builds. And now she's getting mad. She's acting emotional. You are conveying your weakness, your feminine energy. The relationship was never the same after that one moment. And this girl, whoever marries her, will win the jackpot. She was one of those girls, that beautiful feminine woman that had feminine grace, gracefulness, had the ability to influence a man without being forceful. She was very rare, very irreplaceable, and I will never get her back. I know I had to move on from that. Eventually, it just progressively got worse. But I learned from my mistakes. And this is one of those girls that you meet once every 5 to 10 years. She was that rare, especially in the Western world. Do not make the same mistakes I made, fellas. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Proverbs 12, verse 18. The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise bring healing. Unkind words can pierce the heart like a sword. Snide remarks, gossip, Undue criticism, cursing, name-calling, and false accusations hurt people and should not be spoken by believers. If a woman is constantly arguing with you, slandering your name, defaming you, destroying you instead of uplifting you, you better leave her. A feminine woman talks with such grace, her words bring healing to your life. A woman should heal you. A woman should uplift you. A high-quality woman will bring peace to your life. She will take the edge off of a sharp life, fellas. Do not deal with a pugnacious woman who is warlike and argumentative. That is the biggest fucking headache you will ever have to put up with in your life. The tongue of the wise bring healing. The words of the reckless pierce like swords. Proverbs 11 verse 13. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret. Never gossip behind your girl's back, or anyone's back for that matter. Even the ladies who might be watching this or listening to this podcast. This became my new boundary with a woman due to that same relationship I just explained to you with what happened with how I had this built up, pent up emotion and I acted out on it. This became my new boundary where gossip betrays confidence. Anytime I get in a relationship with a girl, one of my boundaries I set now is if you have a problem, if you have something you want to discuss over, you talk to me. If you have an issue between you and I and you want to go over some things that you want to get off your chest, talk to me about it. We're not going behind our back, gossiping to our parents, our best friends, our siblings, because what's going to happen is they're going to hate you now. They're going to hate me. They're going to hate the person you're gossiping about. And they will never forgive me. They will never forgive your man. You two will end up forgiving one another. You might not forget, but you will forgive. Your family members, your best friends, your siblings, they will never forget and they will never forgive. This is why you do not talk shit about your man behind his back. Do not gossip about him behind his back. If there's something you guys have to discuss it. Talk it out like adults. I don't tell my family anything about the women I'm dating. Even in the past, I don't tell them shit. They didn't know anything that was going on between me and my girl. I kept it to myself because I know how this rule works. This is one of the laws of dating. So what happened? We ultimately broke up because I found out that she was gossiping behind my back to her parents, to her siblings, to her best friend. She was talking shit about me. So when I would go to family gatherings, I would go over her place. I felt this awkward tension. The tension was so thick, you can cut the tension with a knife. It was that thick. And I didn't understand what was going on at that time until we broke up and I finally got it. She was gossiping about me behind my back instead of talking to me like an adult so we can work things out. So her parents never forgave me, her best friends, her siblings. So they started planting seeds in her head to break up with me. They started telling her to break up with me. I'm no good for her. And half of the shit she was even saying wasn't true. I'll give you an example. She said she would be having dreams of me cheating on her. And she would start crying. And I never cheated on this girl once. That's how much I loved her. Who knows what else she told her family and her friends. But you never gossip behind a man's back if you're in a relationship. Don't gossip, period, if you are a man, because gossiping is feminine energy. I can't respect a man who gossips and who can't keep a secret. So my girlfriend at the time, like I just explained, she was gossiping about me and saying things that weren't true to her friends and her parents. They all started chirping in her ear to leave me, planting seeds in her mind. She eventually caved in and decided to break up with me. Now I let a girl know, if you have an issue, you come talk to me about it, not another third party. because we can always forgive and forget and love each other the next fucking day. But your friends and family, they will never forget. You will always be that enemy, the person that you're gossiping about. They will always be the enemy in your parents, in your friends, in your siblings' eyes. There's nothing you can change that. There's nothing you can do to change that. Gossip means passing along information that is not yours to share with others or which you have no personal knowledge of. That's what gossiping means. Passing along information that is not yours to share with others or which you have no personal knowledge of. Don't do it. Gossiping is not healthy. It's not positive in a relationship. Learn from my mistakes. Set that as one of your boundaries with your girl. You have to teach her that. And I learned this the hard way because I didn't teach my girl this at that time. And I should have been better. Now I know. And I can promise one thing, it will never happen again. Matthew 7, verse 6. Do not throw your pearls before pigs. I didn't understand what this meant for the longest time, and I always heard this verse. So what this means is pigs do not appreciate pearls. If a girl isn't following what you preach, as in your program, the advice you're giving her, the game you might be teaching her, setting your boundaries and her respecting it, you move on. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake the dust off your feet when you leave them and walk the fuck away. When what you represent is not welcome, you move on. You're not responsible for the way a pig perceives you. Pigs do not appreciate pearls. Jesus' instructions to his apostles on how to handle rejections was to simply go elsewhere. So find a woman who will appreciate the value that you bring, fellas. Find yourself a woman that does appreciate the value that you can add to her life. Pigs do not appreciate pearls. If she's not being receptive to the knowledge you're teaching her, if she's not being receptive to the value you're adding to her life, if she's not showing you admiration for the things you're doing or admiration as her man, you move on. Take that elsewhere. Do not waste your pearls on pigs, fellas. 1 Corinthians 11:11. Nevertheless, in the Lord, woman is not independent of man, nor is man independent of women. So what Paul emphasizes here is that women and men are dependent on each other in the Lord. Neither gender is self-existent. So Christianity rejects the independence of both men and women from each other, insisting that both need the other and both need the Lord. Neither gender is inferior and neither is dispensable. So the feminine and the masculine, they complement one another. One is not better than the other because there are certain things that women are better than men at, and there are certain things that men are better than women at. But when you combine the two, you make an incredible force to be reckoned with. You make one of the best partnerships, one of the best companionships, one of the best teams ever. That's when you have an all-star team. And right now what's happening is you have women saying that men aren't shit or we don't need men. And then you have the red pill community and these bitter men saying, oh, women aren't shit and men, let's go our own way. And we need men just as much as women need men just as much as men need women. That's the brutal truth, fellas. We need women. Women are nurturing. They're compassionate. They're loving. They're caring. They're tender. Only women have the specific superpower to influence a man like no other. The value that a woman can bring to a man's life cannot be replicated. So men need women, women need men. That's how a society is supposed to be run. In a healthy, balanced way, the feminine and the masculine. But now in the Western world, these roles are being reversed. Women are programmed to be masculine, men are being programmed to be feminine. That's not the way God intended it to be. The balance of life starts with feminine women and masculine men, and it ends with feminine women and masculine men. Men are the leaders. Women are the healers. Men are the builders. Women are the gatekeepers. Remember that. I'm the one that phrased that. I'm the one that coined that. If anyone else says that, they stole that shit from me. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 14. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? Do not ever get into a relationship with an atheist or someone who does not believe in God. They have no morals and no boundaries. They will fall for anything. The best women to date, to get in a relationship with, to marry, are women that believe in God and they follow his principles. Women that are God-fearing. Women that are virtuous. Women that are religious. If she doesn't believe in God, she already has no boundaries and no morals. You think you're going to be able to add any type of value to that girl? You think she's going to add value to your life? You think that girl is going to live by any of your principles, any of your boundaries? No. So why waste your time getting in a relationship with her? It's counterintuitive. If she is a toxic girl, you avoid her at all costs. Light cannot dwell with darkness. If she's smoking weed constantly, if she's getting drunk, if she loves having a girls' night out, if she's having a 1 a.m. social life, if she's posting provocative pictures, if she has an OnlyFans, if she was a stripper, if she's in porn, any other negative thing that you can come up with, do not mess with women like that. What fellowship can light have with darkness? You're not going to change any woman. They are who they are, fellas. Light cannot dwell with darkness. If you are a man of light, you seek out and you attract a woman of light. Certain women are energy vampires that feed off the righteous men who are an easy target. You have to put on the full armor of game. You cannot lose with women. If you are a weak man, women are predatory. They feed off of weak men. They know who the weak men are. I don't want that ever happening to you guys. Ephesians 5, verse 22 to 23. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. So the man always leads. The man is always the head of the relationship. That means you need to be a man who has leadership abilities, a man who has character, a man who has a backbone, a strong, masculine man in a woman's life, or else you can't be the head of that relationship. A woman's submission is earned, fellas. A man's protection is also earned. I coined that as well. So if anyone else steals that, that is my shit. So many guys are like, oh, I want a woman who's submissive and who does this for me. And submission is earned, fellas. She's not going to submit to a weak beta male, a barnacle of a man. She won't submit to him. It doesn't make sense for her to. They're not hardwired to. They will only submit to a strong masculine alpha male. And a man's protection has to be earned as well. If your woman is loyal to you, you know that she is the right one in your life. She will always remain loyal to you. She will never cross you. Your protection is earned from her. Because if you know you're going to risk your life for a high quality woman, you might go to jail for her, or you might put your life on the line for her. You better make sure that that protection is earned from her. You better make sure she is worth it. Because I'm not going to jail, prison. I'm not risking my life for a 304 a promiscuous woman, or a thought and a toxic woman. I don't care. That's not my job to be Batman or to play Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm only protecting the women that I know are worth protecting who are in my life. I will go to jail for them. I will risk my life for them. You essentially want a woman who fully submits to you in a sense that she trusts your leadership abilities. You're her safe zone. You're her protector. She can be blindfolded and put her utmost trust in you to guide her. Without submission, a woman can't truly be in love with you. She has to submit to something that you give her. Your masculine frame, your masculine presence, your assertiveness, your leadership abilities. Proverbs 31 verse 10 to 12. A wife of noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. A good woman is hard to find and is worth more than all the precious stones on earth, fellas. That's what that means. I had a good woman, that girl from 3 to 4 years ago I told you about, and I lost her. She was worth more than all the precious stones combined on this earth. I can't say that about a lot of other women, especially in this Western world. When you meet a girl like that, it only happens once every 5 to 10 years. And I've only met 2 women in my lifetime who were worth more than all the precious stones on earth. Once when I was 20, this one when I was 29 years old. So there was that 5 to 10 year gap right there. You better be on the lookout for women like that. Because when they come in your life, better make sure you put on the full armor of game with everything I'm teaching you. I still haven't forgot about that one girl. That's how crazy I was for her. I still think about her. But I've never reached out to her, not once. After she texted me and I met up with her and she said it was over, not once did I ever reach out to her. I was a man about it. I became a savage, turned that pain into purpose. That's the only thing you can do, fellas. I'm not that guy that's ever going to reach out or beg for a woman to stay in my life, to not leave me. That was never my style. That will never be my style. She is a craftswoman who adds value to the world, especially her man's life. This woman is caring, trustworthy, compassionate, loving, attentive to the needs of others, honest and faithful. Above all, she is God-fearing. Do not be with a woman who is not virtuous, who isn't God-fearing. That comes up later when I date a girl. I will ask her her belief, I will ask her her beliefs on God. Right? I'll do it in a smooth way. And we'll talk about it. That's very important to me. If she doesn't believe in a God and she's like a feather in the wind, I already know that is a promiscuous woman. That is one of the signs of a promiscuous woman, when she is not God-fearing, when she doesn't believe in a God. And she says, oh, I'm just very spiritual, like a feather in the wind. A feather in the wind that lands on every cock within a 2-mile radius. That's what that means when a girl says that to me. This one's very fucking important. Proverbs 31 verse 3. Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to that which destroys kings. So what does that mean? In this context, that means not making desires or distractions a weakness or expending excessive time and energy pursuing them. Especially women. This exact mistake has ruined kingships. Throughout history, kings have been ruined for giving their power away, for having distractions, for having weaknesses, for making unnecessary desires they didn't need to make. Human history overflows with examples of kings, emperors, rulers, and politicians ruined by adultery and weakness for sexuality. Everyone has a weakness. It could be women, money, pornography, whatever it is. Okay? A day might come where those weaknesses could potentially ruin your life. Many others have failed due to other vices such as greed or lust for power. Whores can destroy kings. How much more average men? Kings, due to power and riches, were objects of seduction by whorish women. Hasn't stopped, fellas. You see this in society today. More prevalent than ever before. Kings, by their power and riches, lived luxuriously, which promoted lascivious living and the lusts of eyes and flesh. This great mother despised whores and warned her son against them. Kings ruled nations, raised armies, and conquered empires. Kings are the greatest rulers in history. They made weighty decisions that affected the lives of those in and out of their kingdoms. They had absolute authority of life and death over every citizen. To influence a king was to influence nations and the lives of millions. So for a king to become infatuated with a woman meant that he was to give his strength, duty, and honor to the base lusts of his loins. Samson was the judge of Israel, but the conniving whore Delilah brought him down to terrible destruction. David had a harem of wives, but taking the wife of one of his best friends brought him terrible trouble. David had a harem of wives, which means plethora of wives, but taking the wife of one of his best friends brought him terrible trouble, nearly destroyed his kingdom, and cost him dearly for the rest of his life. What can be said about such foolish rulers as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, who were seduced and destroyed by the Egyptian whore Cleopatra? Great men, especially in positions of authority or leadership, must take extra precautions to be vigilant against this dangerous threat. And if women can destroy gifted rulers with many options, common men should be even more careful. Good women will realize their sexual power and use it loyally for righteous purposes with their husbands. If you go back to the story of Tupac and how he was convicted of a bogus sexual assault charge, a rape charge, it was because of a woman that ruined his life. He was somewhere he was not supposed to be, and he was in position of authority. He was the leader out of his group of friends, or so-called friends. They were all fake anyways. So they put all the blame on him. Everything fell down on him and not anyone else, because with great leadership comes great responsibilities. So if you're in the limelight, they're going to arrest you. They're going to put the charge on you instead of someone who's below you, who's an average Joe Schmo. So it's very important that you watch who is in your circle and you put on the full armor of game so this doesn't happen to you. Many men have been ruined by whores and whorish women. Do not let that happen to you, fellas. This is a very good one. Very, very important. Proverbs 21 verse 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious, which means argumentative, and an angry woman. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious, argumentative, and angry woman. What does that mean? It is better to be homeless, better to live in the wilderness, in the desert, than living with a pugnacious, which means warlike, argumentative, and toxic woman. God told us how important a man's peace is in his life. A man needs a woman to take the edge off of a sharp life that he is living. If she is adding nothing but drama, toxicity, anger, pent-up emotions, you have to leave her ass as a man. Your health is the most important thing that you have. Your peace of mind is also one of the most important things that you have as a man. I don't care if you have nowhere else to go, you better go find a place. Anytime a woman raises your blood pressure or makes it hard for you to sleep at night, you gotta leave that bitch. You have to leave that bitch. I don't care what your situation is. Find a way to get the fuck out. You look at her and you say, baby, I'm out of here. I'm done. Period. No woman is ever going to add any type of stress or negativity in your life. You have to fucking mean that as well, guys. You have to live by that. People think I had it easy. I've been in toxic relationships before. I've been in shit that you guys can't even fathom. And I wish I knew this back in the day. And I could only take so much as a man. I eventually had to leave her. I was 24, 25 at the time. It was the most toxic relationship I have ever been in, and it will be the last toxic relationship I will ever put myself in, because I learned very quickly. You have to learn from your mistakes. I'm trying to teach you mine as well, so you guys can learn from my mistakes. The last one I want to go over, fellas. This story is very important. This is also one of my czar laws, where you do not share your weaknesses with a girl. And in the Bible, it teaches us this in the story of Samson and Delilah. Delilah, she was a Philistine who bribed to entrap Samson, manipulated him into revealing that the secret of his strength was his long hair. Whereupon she took advantage of his confidence to betray him to his enemies. Her name has since been synonymous with a voluptuous, treacherous woman. There are a lot of Delilahs out there, and there are a lot of men in the grave because of women like that. There's a lot of men in the grave right now, and there's a lot of men in prison for dealing with Delilahs because they didn't put on the full armor of game. And this is why I do this, fellas. I don't want any of you ending up in prison over a girl unless you were there protecting her and she is a good quality woman. And I don't want you ending up in a grave over a treacherous woman like Delilah. This is why you never reveal your deepest, darkest secrets or weaknesses to a woman. You never do it. I don't care if she tries to get it out of you like Delilah did Samson, where she flattered him, she manipulated him, and he gave in. You cannot let that happen, fellas. Women seek out a man of strength. They do not seek out a man of weakness. So the second you start crying, expressing your weaknesses, she will fuck your cousin or your best friend or your brother within 2 weeks. I promise you. That's how repulsive weakness is to a woman. She's not your therapist. I know you guys want to be coddled by women. I don't understand why. Talk to your boys. I have my brother, I talk to him. Talk to your dad. Talk to your mom. But you never talk to your girl by sharing your weaknesses and your secrets. They will use it against you later, fellas. I've seen this personally happen at my workplace, with family members, with friends. They will use it against you. They have ammunition on you now. If you guys break up and shit hits the fan, now she's going to tell her best friends. She's going to tell her coworkers. She's going to tell her family members of how much of a bitch you were. She's going to send them screenshots. They're all going to be making fun of you and laughing at you. The less you say, the better. It is good to be strong physically, but it is much more important to be strong spiritually. Not everyone that smiles at you wishes you well, fellas. That is a cold, hard fact. You cannot be dictated by your emotions. We already went over that. Delilah said, "How can you love me if your heart is not with me?" She tugged on Samson's emotions. She knew how to get to him, how to manipulate him. You cannot make decisions based off your feelings unless you want your life ruined. And that is exactly what happened to Samson. He didn't have the full armor of game like he should have. He let his emotions get to him. He was swayed by Delilah's beauty, by her flattery. He was tempted by her. You can never let a woman manipulate you emotionally. You always have to be on your P's and Q's as a man. Doesn't matter how beautiful she is. Doesn't matter if she coerces you. Doesn't matter if she gives you an ultimatum or she's going to leave you. Cool, you can leave me, no problem. I have an abundance mindset. I have other options. I don't give a fuck. If you are too scared of losing a girl, fellas, you already lost her. You already fucking lost her. I have never lost a girl that I was never scared of losing. It's funny how the universe works, but when you have that attitude and that mindset, you can never lose a girl. That was podcast episode number 3. I hope you guys enjoyed Bible Game. Put on the full armor of game. This is very important, so this does not happen to you like it did to Samson. There are a lot of predatory women out there. You have to be spiritually strong. You have to be spiritually fit. Protect yourself, guys. I'm Zardanya. I'm out. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Czar of Dating. Follow me on Instagram at Czar of Dating. Join the VIP membership on my Discord where you can put on the full armor of game.